been here before. It's nice. It's a good backstage.
I've never known. No, should we go second row?
Of course better.
Yeah. I'm probably going to get...
Oh, we're going back row, boys.
I want to see. She's just hold my hand. Yeah. You can't just...
And I programme my children and family work here and do lots of other bits and pieces in between.
My name's Jack. I'm the Creative Learning Officer here, and that means that I get to do loads of things, but one of the things that is really good about my job is I get to work with people like you and do things like this, backstage tours. Mm-hmm. Has anyone ever been in this space before?
Yeah.
We.
Yeah?
No.
Okay, cool. Who's seen a show here? Cool. Anyone seen Panto? Anyone seen the Panto this year? Okay, cool. Does the space look pretty different now to how it did then? Yeah? Okay, cool. Excellent. I'm going to start with just a very brief housekeeping thing. So the theatres are totally safe, just as long as you don't take any unnecessary risks. There are things like trip hazards around, so just exercise caution and common sense. Cool. What can you see in here? Glitter balls. Great. Excellent. So, did you know anything about the show that's happening here? No. Strictly. Okay, that's an interesting thing to go to immediately. The show's called Kiss Me Quickstep, and it is about dancing. So, that's one of the clues you can pick up in this space about the show. Is there anything else that anyone? Pardon me? It is in the round. Yeah, it is. This space in the middle. Does anyone know what this is? This here. Anyone ever seen one of these? Used one of these before? It's actually a dance floor. So, is that what you said? Fair enough. Yeah. Underneath there's loads of springs, Pete has told me, or springy stuff that allows you to do the dance things on there that you might want to do. Anything else interesting about this that you can see? Anything you can notice? Marks, marks are super important. Tells the actors where to be, tells people who are rearranging props where to put things. Cool. What else can you notice about this space? What else is in this room generally?
It's normally higher up.
It is normally. Did you mean as in the stage normally feels higher up?
No, you normally go up here.
Yeah. Well,
It's actually because there is a platform in here currently. This thing here. The seats normally go lower, so that's why the stage normally feels higher up.
Terminology, what that means? Yes, people are nodding. No? Anyone not know? You all know.
I don't know.
You don't know, great. Well done. Okay, so producing house means that we make work, receiving house means that we receive work, basically. So we make a few shows a year, so that's Panto, that's our autumn and our spring productions. This production, Kiss Me Quickstep, is a co-production with the Queen's Theatre and Hornchurch. So often we'll co-pro some shows, which makes it more affordable for all the parties. About 4 or 5 own productions a year. In this space, as well as the creative learning team make lots of shows up in the studio, probably about 8 or 9 shows I think a year, is it Jack, something like that?
I think Rob often says he directs 10 shows a year, which doesn't include the Panto. He does say about 9.
Yeah.
I think he's probably right.
Yeah, and another kind of small scale stuff up the road as well. And then we receive loads of performances as well, and you can get a sense of the different types of work we have by grabbing our brochure on the way out. And it's a real eclectic mix of stuff for all different tastes. So we'll receive shows that tour around the country and have to tour into lots of different stage spaces, so therefore our stage has to be adaptable to their needs as well. Cool, all right. What we thought we'd do is split you up into 2 smaller groups because there's quite a lot of you and some of the spaces that we're going to take you into are quite small. So to get the best out of it, we thought Jack would take one group and start on this level and I'll take a second group and we'll go straight up to the fly floor and have a look at the technical equipment, have a chat about stage management roles and all that kind of thing, and then we'll basically swap over so you guys get to see lots of different elements in smaller groups, which will be better for you, and you can answer a few more questions. Does that sound all right? Yeah? Do you want to split yourselves into 2 groups, or should we just go?
There are 18 people on the first row and 13 people here.
We've got 2 classes here.
Great. Easy.
Ooh,
which class do I get? What are you called? I'll come with you, Chan. My lot. Let's go.
Yeah.
Ed training.
Oh.
I think I've done this before.
You're not You're less intimidated now.
Recording it.
Yeah. Because they said I could.
Okay, so this group, I'm going to take you up to the top of the theatres. We're going to go up to the fly floor. There are quite a lot of steps, and just be careful, basically. A few wires on the floor. We are working theatre, as Jack said, so just be careful. You're not a primary school, you're not going to go crazy running around.
Tegan!
Well, actually, she's fine. She can go through there if she wants. This is the thing about primary school kids. We get kids go, you're like, just start. They're like that big, and they can just.
This is so cool. How much money?
Okay, so we are floor level. So fly floor is very top of the theatre. The only thing above us is the roof. In some sort of slightly larger theatres or different types of theatres, you might find that there is a fly tower as well. Have you heard that phrase? Maybe seen some theatres who've got that as well. It's basically a double height above the stage where they can fly scenery and bars, lighting bars, everything up to the very, very top of the theatre. We don't have that here, but we obviously still have all the equipment that enables us to do things. So we have to be a little bit more, I suppose, flexible as to how we want to achieve those kind of effects. So you can see, if you kind of look across, you can see all the kind of the amount of technical equipment, amount of lighting bars that goes all the way across the auditorium. So the lighting bars you can see, so obviously this is a black that's attached to this bar, and then lots of different lighting bars going across as well. We've got speakers on, lots and lots of different lights. There are lots of different types of lights. I can name a couple, but I'm not technical. So if you want that information, we might have to grab a technician for you, okay? But in terms of to talk to you very quickly about how a show would get in. So the first thing that would happen, we'll show you in a little bit as well, the dock doors, which are downstairs. So they would bring all their equipment in. One of the first things that would happen is all these bars would be lowered manually. So everything's manual in this theatre by these hemps. So we'd have technicians who would undo big knots here, take all these bars down to stage level, and then according to the lighting designer's plans they would then rig the lights that needed to be in position for that show. We do have a standard rig here, so some shows will just use a standard rig, so just whatever that means for our technicians to make kind of general states what they would need for most performances. But most shows will have a specific lighting design that they will then want to hang specific lights in specific places and then focus them. So that's the first thing they would do. Once they've brought all of these lighting bars up, they can then get the set in. And at the moment, obviously, the set is quite minimal for Kiss Me Quick Step. It's a different configuration in terms of the seating plan, but as you can see, there's a couple of arches to show that we're in some kind of a ballroom competition scenario. But that's it. So it's quite quick. But for example, a lot of you have seen our pantos, I think. So imagine, the huge, big bits of the flats and everything that come in for that, and that takes about 4 days, day and night, to make that and to build it all together. So that's what would happen there. The set would go in, and then if they need to tweak bits and pieces of the lighting, there's something called a telescope, which is a really big ladder on wheels that they can kind of edge around the theatre and get to places with. So as we go around the fly floor, just think about how this would feel during a performance. So up here, there will be people working during a show, most shows. Obviously, they'll be wearing black, I'm sure you're aware of that. And it wouldn't be this light, again, I'm sure you're aware of that. So we would have some very, very small blue lights on during a show, but otherwise it's completely dark. And the only sort of light is coming really from the actual stage lights for the performance. So as you're walking around, think about how that might feel, how kind of maybe slightly claustrophobic it is. All the passageways are quite small. As we go across as well, you'll notice 2 bridges that go across the whole of the auditorium. There are lights hung from that, there are speakers hung from that. So again, technicians will be walking across the audience's heads, sort of above on those bridges during a show, but we wouldn't know because we're not looking for them, we wouldn't see them. So again, just be thinking about, if you're thinking about technical roles, thinking about stage management roles, those are sorts of things that are happening during a performance that an audience just wouldn't be aware of. All right. So I'll take you round. Again, notice those things. Notice the storage, lights. You've noticed all sorts of things around you, dimmer racks, etc., etc. And then we'll get to the control room, so I can talk to you a little bit about the stage management roles. All right.
Whoa, yeah, I hit mine. Luckily, I'm short as
I'm so scared I'm gonna hit my head. This is so cold.
Don't move it, Yella.
That's a powerful.
I will squeeze in there, right. I'm going up this end. Oh, I've got to squeeze in there. And I need the shirt.
Basically where everything's operated from during a performance. So you tell me, what can you see? What can you see that you think might be useful?
That desk thing.
That desk thing there, yeah, so that's the sound desk. probably being used during this performance, and a microphone as well. Yeah, anything else?
Another one under there.
That's a lighting desk. So that's a fixed desk that tends to not move. So for all of our productions, that is where the lighting operator sits. They've got a nice big window so they can see everything that's going on. They've got, obviously the lighting desk at the moment is covered up, but they've got 2 screens that show what's happening. How much do you guys know about lights and design and how that stuff works and during a performance? And much?
Partially.
They
Some,
follow a script,
I know
don't
a fair
they? Do they
bit.
follow like a lighting?
Yeah, well the DSM, I'll talk to you about the scripts in a minute. So during a tech, so during a get-in, they will program the lighting desk. Some shows will turn up with a USB and go into the lighting desk, and then it's all there magically, and then the lighting operator just has to press go every time he's told to, or she's told to. But sometimes you'll have to automatically program manually in like specific cues. If it's one of our own productions, that's what we would do. So for example, if it was Panto or Kiss Me Quick Step, we would sit here and we would tech the whole show. Individual lighting cues would be put in. Once they're programmed in, then when the show's on, the lighting operator only has to press one button, which is go, every time they want the lights to change. So that is hopefully nice and easy. Obviously there are times they might need to fiddle with it if something goes wrong, but that's designed to be nice and easy during a performance. Where you guys are standing, which I might just squeeze it over here so I can show you. So this desk, again, tends to be quite fixed for most performances. This is the DSM desk. Has anyone heard this phrase DSM before? Some sort of, yeah. So DSM stands for Deputy Stage Manager. Heard of that role?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cool. So in a stage management team, there's lots of different roles. There's obviously the stage manager who oversees everything. There's assistant stage managers, so they look after, generally tend to be stage based and look after props and costume and sort of handheld things. And the deputy stage manager doesn't just deputise for the stage manager, they have a very specific role, which is queuing the show. Okay, so they will be in rehearsals with the company for however many weeks they're in rehearsal for, and they'll be noting down all the decisions that are made by the creative team. So that involves the blocking of the actors, so literally where people move individually, so that the director then can go back the next day and go, oh, what did we do there, or tweak something, or so that they know how the stage works, how they know everything that happens basically, so that they can manage all of that. And they also note down any technical elements, and then when they get to technical rehearsal, they will make their prompt copy, which I will kind of hold up for you now. Let's move the pencil out of the way. So this is the script of Kiss Me Quick Step, and I can kind of hold it up so you can see. So obviously you've got the script on the right hand side, and on the left they've got lots and lots of pencil markings. This side is, so you've got a line down the middle, this side is blocking, so literally you can see there a little map of an actor where they go, and this side is all the LX and sound cues. So LX means lighting in theatre, alright? So they've got a preset, so LX 0.5, and they've got a sound cue preset as well, so that's for the audience coming in. And then they've got written here when they get clearance, they've got a little note what they need to do, and then they cue their LX cues and their sound cues and off they go. So this person, the deputy stage manager, is responsible for queuing all of the lighting, sound, any other technical cues in the entire show, and they're the only person responsible for that. Why do you think there's only one person doing that?
Too complicated to have too many.
Yeah, it's too complicated, isn't it? So if you had lots of people going, oh, we'll do this, or just taking care of their own thing, you also haven't got then someone overseeing the whole thing, so you know, God forbid there was a fire or something happened that they had to stop the show, this person can go, right, everybody, this is what we're doing. So they are the one person that funnels down all the information. Probably seen these before, headsets or cans, sometimes referred to in theatre. Everybody backstage will wear these, that's how they communicate backstage, that's how the DSM communicates with the rest of the stage management and technical production team during the show. So the DSM will cue things verbally, so they might say stand by, for example, if there's a lighting cue, stand by LXQ2, and then they will say LXQ2 go, and then that's how it will happen. And they will also have, sometimes they will have cue lights as well, so they will light a little light up which will light around the theatre, so that actors and technicians have a visual cue as well as an oral cue, particularly if it's a loud show like Panto. Yeah, they also do the front of house announcements. Is that it? No? Oh yes it is. So our front of house announcements, they've got them written down here. So they've got a little list of what to say. Ladies and gentlemen of the Kiss Me Quick Step Company, this is your half-hour call. So that's the backstage announcements, but they'll also be doing the front of house announcements for the audience as well. So they will be sat here from about the half, doing all of those things, and then they'll go into the show. So they've got to work really hard for about 3 hours to be really on the ball, get everything properly right. And if they do a clean show, so that means making 0 mistakes, and that's amazing. Most DSMs will do a clean show every single night, or every single afternoon. And they've got to really, really focus and concentrate, and it's a hard work job. And can you already feel up here? It's quite close, isn't it? The atmosphere, it's quite hot. It's already a little bit sweaty. There's no show on, there's no stage lights on. So think about how, with 400 people sat there, and stage lights and in the dark. It's quite full on. It's easy to get a bit stressed. So like that is, you know, you've got to have a really cool head on you. Anyone want to be a deputy stage manager when they grow up, when you graduate? Yeah. You're a bit grown up already, aren't you, really? Maybe, yeah. Cool. So yeah, lots of different roles to think about when you're looking at technical theatre production roles as well. Lots and lots of different things. Obviously there's specialities in lighting and sound and stage. If you're thinking of going off to further college or drama schools to study technical theatre, there's all those different pathways to explore as well as the more artistic pathways like costume making, props making, all those sorts of things as well. Any questions when we're up in this little space? No? No? Cool, okay. I'm going to take you round the rest of the flight floors. Just as we walk round, just again be noticing the things that you can see around you. Did anyone notice the follow spot that was in that room that we walked past? Yeah? Big light, very hot. Operate it with big rubber gloves and wearing shorts most of the time because it gets really, really hot. And then I'll take you downstairs and hopefully Jack and his team will be coming up and we can swap over and have a look under the stage. Alright? Great. Do ask any questions as we're going around.
Is that what camera?
No, superstar. We've already booked 20 minutes before. He's coming up, and he loves it, honestly. In rehearsal. Yeah, on our first rehearsal, we've already blocked 20 minutes of the show. But the whole opening, and it's sick. Literally, come in and stand there and
Some guys keep
All day. Oof. I've been back here before. I remember this walkway.
So you're filming this for the course or like?
Pretty much. Because while I'm not taking any notes on paper.
It's a good way
So
to do it.
just watch it back and then everyone can watch it back.
oh, it's like Strictly.
They're so pretty.
Oh, I love Strictly. Is that one of the dresses?
That's one that I wear.
Tiny, aren't they?
God, are they maybe like skimpy or something?
Some of them are little.
Really?
Oh my god, it's very open.
Hold it up against.
Well, they have to be very careful.
Oh yes. I
Wow,
want to be
yeah,
on
you
Strictly.
can.
It's like my dream
You
in
can be
life.
on
Okay.
You can do it.
Cool. Okay, so we are currently in stage left wing. So I'm sure you know your stage left from your stage right. So company stage left, stage right's over there. This theatre is quite unique in that we're not symmetrical, stage left, stage right wing. So with this side we've got a dock door, which I mentioned earlier, which is where we get all of our sets in through. Some theatres have got massive dock doors which are like, you know, the height of the whole theatre. Ours are pretty much like standard domestic garage doors, so pretty small. So we have to get everything in through here. It's the largest space with which to get things through. So if you think about, again, those of you who've seen Panto or other productions with big sets, all of those massive bits of, you know, stuff have to come through these doors. So a bit like an IKEA flat pack, they all come in pieces with a little map and they get fixed together when they all the pieces arrive on stage. So that's that. Obviously, as you've already noticed, we've got some of the Kiss Me Quick Step, Quick Change costumes, which they're beautiful, aren't they?
It's like Strictly.
Yeah.
Can
It's
I
very
ask a
like
question?
Strictly. Yes, of course you can.
Do you have people in here making the set, or do you have an external sort of company making it?
It depends on the show, but for most of our own productions, we have a company who are based up in the Midlands who actually make the set, and then it all gets shipped down on one of those big lorries and gets loaded in. Because also we don't have storage here, so most of our productions, unless they're going off on tour or a co-production, or we can look at it and go, actually that might be useful for the future, it all gets skipped at the end of the run. I know, which feels wasteful, but actually there's no storage. We do have a storeroom up kind of near Ranelagh Road, you know where that is, like around near Sainsbury's, yeah. But it's kind of like an old co-op building, so we have places to store things, mostly smaller props and costume rather than big bits of furniture and big kind of flats and things. So like I said, we will store things if we think we've just made that specially, that might come in useful again, but a lot of it, if it's not going off on tour, it will get skipped. The trouble is you don't always know, so like we had Once the musical here in September, and that is now going out on national tour, but obviously when you make a show, and we've made that show, anyone see it? It was amazing, it's beautiful, it's coming back in 2020, so come and see it. The actors are amazing. Actor Muso, I don't know if most of you know that we do most of our performances are Actor Muso. So that obviously they won't have known when it closed here if it was going to go on somewhere else, because it takes a little while to make financial deals for producers to show interest and all that sort of thing. So we have to make a decision: do we get rid of it? Do we keep it? So you know you've got to kind of make those decisions. That's an elongated answer to your question, isn't it? Yeah.
Is it recyclable? The staging?
I don't honestly know. It's all fireproofed, like flame-proofed, so possibly not in that respect. But it depends what it's made of. I mean, a lot of it will be wood and then made up to look like something else.
Yeah, fair enough.
So it depends. Yeah.
It's not.
No, it's not. But then I guess, you know, if you're reusing stuff as well, and you know, I don't honestly know, but yeah, I'm sure they're as environmentally friendly as they can be. We work in the arts. We're all quite down with, you know, the environment and all of that. Any other questions? No? Cool. So what I'm going to do is take you, I know we just walked that way, we'll go back that way, past the stage and then into the stage right wing. We'll show you a few things that are in there.
I performed here once, you know. I performed here. Yep. It was like year 9. It was terrible. It was a little show that we created ourselves. I know. No. No.
Cool.
You don't know what panto is? Explain what panto is.
Oh, right.
It's my favourite kind of film.
Film?
Film.
Oh dear. No, you said film.
I didn't say film.
Yes,
I said
you
did.
No, I said theatre. It just
I
came
heard.
out.
You never know, there may be panto films out there.
Exactly.
I'm sure there are. So, yeah.
It's my favourite kind of film.
Or if not, just make it a genre. Off you go.
Do it, Alex.
There's your career. Alright, so stage right wing, here we are. So as you can see, very different area, very different space. Much more room for actors to hang out in, technicians to hang out in. Big brick wall there in the way though, so this entrance isn't always there. So kind of difficult to see on stage with visual cues when to make the entrance. So for that reason, we have the TV screens over there, which have a live feed on them. So during a performance, they will be on, and you'll be able to see exactly what's happening on stage at that, live. So you can see for entrances and exits. There's kind of over in the corner, there's a little props table. So bits and pieces of Kiss Me Quick Step. The assistant stage managers will be responsible for looking after those, making sure the props are set before every show. They'll have a list they will go through meticulously, which always feels really repetitive, but it's really necessary to make sure everything's set where it needs to be. And then this obviously is a mirror, so actors can check themselves before they go on stage. And then this is a quick change area, so it's a little black box, and that's for actors who need to do a really quick change, but a quick change where they probably need to get undressed to a level where they probably don't want to do that in front of lots of people. So that's what that area is for as well. At the moment, this area is quite bare, so there's not an awful lot to talk to you about, other than kind of what you see around you, really. Any questions? No? Should we go under the stage? Yeah? Cool.
Hell yeah.
You just went, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Is that something from a horror film?
This reminds me of the Retro Annulment.
Oh yeah. Banging film.
Banging.
When you made that, it must be clever.
Yeah.
Reminds me of the catacombs.
It's quite creepy down here.
It is weird.
I'm not to freak her out even more.
Me especially.
This is
Okay,
Retro Annulment.
so can you move up a little bit, guys, so that everyone can squeeze in? Cool. Okay, so this is Substage, Latin for under is sub, so we're now under the stage. So the stage is literally right there. That is the plywood bottom of the stage. Main audience is there. Obviously for this show you've got a little bit of audience over there as well. At the moment down here is quite bare. It really depends on the performance and the show that we've got on as to how this space looks. We've always got a little bit of storage, so again, as I said to you earlier, there's not a huge amount of storage in this building, so our production team use every nook and cranny they can to store things such as the blacks, the scaffolding pipes you can see over there, lots and lots of bits and pieces. There's also a little dartboard there, so it's not a joke, our production team, if they're not doing a cue and they're based down here, they'll have a little game of darts. Sometimes chess, sometimes all sorts of things. To talk to you about down here is our trapdoors. So you can't see from the stage at the moment the configuration that it's in, but we do have 2 cutouts on the stage, and those are the 2 trapdoors that are here permanently. So one on stage left, one on stage right. And these are manually operated trapdoors, so they don't operate like you might have heard in some kind of big West End kind of theatres. The trapdoors will be operated like hydraulically with a push of a button, and there's you hear some horror stories about dancers' leg getting caught and all sorts of things. Not all the time, obviously, but you hear about it happening. these are manual. So these are operated by 3 technicians. And how they work is at the beginning of a run, so these are mostly used for our pantomimes. Beginning of a run, let's say the fairy godmother usually enters on this side. She will be weighed at the beginning of the run then they will put the equivalent weight to her on the back of this, so it kind of operates as a counterweight system. So it means that 2 people don't have to lift kind of a 9-10 stone actor up just with their muscles. They've also got a counterweight on the back just to help with that lifting. So for this trapdoor, this one is actually in the down position. So you've got the trap lid in place here, so that is just making sure that obviously there is the stage is closed.
This
so
is our aircraft.
Say again?
This is like,
Yeah, you could just look up there. Yeah, it's the same on that side.
ooh, ah.
So what will happen is this trap lid will be unbolted here, and I can't do it by the way, I'm not trained, so I'm just going to mime it. And they'll pull this down and across, and it will make a hole in the stage, and then very, very quickly there'll be one person stood where I am, one person stood on the other side, and pulling these bars, they will just pull up, and up the actor will go onto the stage, and they'll bolt that bit in place, and job done. And it takes about 5, 6, 7 seconds. It's so fast. Yeah, it's really, really quick.
The trapdoor's open.
Yeah, it's really, and it has to be to make, because the whole point is that it's meant to be like someone's magically appearing on stage, and they have a little puff of smoke. Well, I say little puff of smoke. They fill this whole area with smoke. Yeah, and then this has to be filled with smoke to get the effect of a little bit of smoke coming out of the hole. So they have a little handheld smoke gun, which they're like, and they put it all around this area. And pyrotechnics as well, so little indoor fireworks, which they'll fire at the same time, which are rigged. You see that little box that literally goes overhead? That's where they're rigged in there. So yeah, it's very, very fast. And when so at the top of a panto run, so we do about 90 performances of our panto, so it's quite a lot. The actors who are using the traps will have kind of a half-day orientation where they just go up and down the traps. That's all they do, just to really get used to the sensation. Some of the actors would have done it before, so they'll kind of know what they're doing. But also they've got to think about the costume they're wearing and how that impacts it. And particularly like a fairy godmother or like Cinderella, we've just had big dresses, hoops, lots of wings maybe, wands, all sorts of things. They've got to think about how to not get that caught in what is actually quite a small space. I mean, thinking about standing there with a big old dress on, you've got to be really careful that you don't get yourself obviously caught in a trap, which would not be good.
Funny.
Yeah, that's kind of how the traps work. Any questions about trapdoors or anything else that you can see down here?
No.
No? No? The DSM, who I talked to you about before, will cue the trapdoors as well. So he or she will be responsible for that as well. And I believe that the actors will have kind of a pose they do when they're happy to go down the trap, because not so much when they're going up, but when they're about to come down from stage level down to here. The fairy godmother will often do kind of like something like that with her wand, and that demonstrates to the DSM that she is happy, ready, on her mark, ready to go. Because for whatever reason she wasn't happy, obviously they don't want to open a big hole in the stage. That wouldn't be much fun for her, would it? No. Exactly, yeah. Not so good, not a good look probably, not so much. Yeah.
Has that ever happened?
No, not since I've been here. I mean, you hear of things happening, not here, but I've heard of like wings getting caught on fire from pyrotechnics. And I mean, things happen, but theatre is a risky place to work, but it's also a very safe place because of all the health and safety that has to go into making it safe. Do you know what I mean? So everything is fireproof. There are rules like you can't have a pyrotechnic less than a metre away from somebody. So that is going to be a metre from the person coming up through the trap for that exact reason. So there's not a little bit of spark that can then ignite a costume, which would also be flame proof. So it's not, you're not talking serious accidents. But yeah, people fall, people break stuff. It does happen. But that's generally because people aren't, playing by the rules. They're not following procedures, so that's when accidents tend to happen. It's an exciting place to work. Everything's live. It's great. Any questions? No. So we've seen most of the areas backstage now. I'll take you back onto stage level. As we're walking up, have a little think about any questions you might have, anything you're specifically interested about knowing, like any job roles, anything that we do here that you've heard of, anything at all, while we wait for Jack's group, and then he's going to take you through to the learning curve to look at some videos that kind of help explain the trapdoors and the DSM and other things. Yeah.
I have a question about a set.
Go.
You know Lovely Bones?
Yeah.
You know the big mirror thing at the back?
I didn't see it, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I didn't understand how that worked at all. I don't know if you knew.
I don't, and that wasn't one of our productions. I think that was Birmingham that made that one.
Oh, okay.
Contact the Birmingham rep and ask them.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they made that show. If not, Northampton Dungate was also involved in that, I think.
Okay.
Contact the theatres and ask them.
Lovely Bones.
Yeah. I was supposed to see it,
It was
but
like
I
a
didn't
huge
get...
mirror, but it like wasn't.
Reminds me of like a horror film catacomb.
This is a unique space. Not many theatres will have a learning curve. It's sort of our own thing. It's used mainly for meetings, but it is also used for things like we run a series of free courses for people aged 16 to 25. We are actually currently running Young Technicians, which is a course for young people who want to be upskilled in the qualities of production and stuff like that, where each week is kind of like a module, where you'll get 1 week that's lights, sound, makeup, that sort of thing. It covers basically a lot of things. That's basically what this space is for. Oh, yes, and the community choruses on our shows. We'll also use this as a spill out for additional changing space if we need it. So, because we've only got 5 changing rooms, we don't, imagine in a cast where there's 30 people, it's not enough space, is there? So, yeah, the community chorus would normally go in here. Great. Before I show you any of the brilliant videos we've got, I just want to talk about some of the other departments that work here that you might have missed. We also have, on top of the production, we have a communications department, a relationships department, a department called Start East, which is about supporting young artists. We have the creative learning department, where I'm from, the talent development department, a front of house, a kitchen staff, a bar staff. We actually, as a theatre, generate loads of work. We have a finance department as well. Can't leave that out. Has anyone got any questions about any of those departments and what they do?
Can I ask one?
Yeah, go for it.
What's the relationships department?
Relationships is basically about us communicating with the community. So that people often ask what's the difference between relationships and communication. Communication is sort of an internal thing, and they also handle stuff like marketing. The relationships department are more like accessing people that we would call communities that are harder to reach, and trying to get them through our door and go, what work do you want? What can we give you? That sort of thing. Currently, the Creative Learning Department is working with the Relationships Department to build a community arm to what we provide, because the Creative Learning Department historically has put young people at the centre of everything it's done, but now we're increasingly looking to work with other communities as well. Yeah. Great. Anything else you want to ask me? Great. Then let's see some of these videos. The first one, I don't know which one's been opened. Okay, great. We'll see the Bradbury platform one. Let's get it big. So I wanted to show you that in case it generated any other questions you might have about how we create a space for disabled audiences, or some of the things we do to try and access these communities, or anything you want to ask about that.
How do you decide whether you're going to use it or not?
So we advertise some of our shows as being relaxed, and we know for a fact that we have 18 spaces for wheelchair users when the Bradbury platform's out, and I think we've got something like 6 without it. So we will definitely put it out for the relaxed performances, but as you can see, it literally gets put out and taken back every single time. So it will just be on those times where it's advertised, or on a show like Kiss Me Quick Step where it's part of the life of the play. Yeah, cool. Anything else you want to ask about it? Anything you want to know? No? Okay.
Who's the Bradbury Foundation?
That's a good question. The Bradbury Foundation, don't know anything about them other than the fact they're the people who supported it. So I suspect they're a group of people that have a pot of money that they give out to people who want to do more work with disabled participants. There are lots of people that we work with like that in order to help our spaces, get the money in order to make our spaces what they need to be. So the Bradbury Foundation, I suspect, is one of them. Ramps on the Moon is one of the consortiums that we use that I said something about earlier. And yeah, the other time that we'll use it is that some of our shows are specifically made with the Ramps on the Moon actors, because as well as being a consortium of money, they have a load of actors, basically a database of actors that we can, if we're trying to use disabled actors in our shows, we can contact them in order to see who wants to work with us. The next show that we're doing that is involved with the Ramps on the Moon consortium it's referred to as Giles internally, but I think it's called something like Grandma Saves the Day, the musical. Yeah, so that's an opportunity to see what that kind of work's like, if that's something that you're interested in knowing more about. Did anyone see Our Country's Good that we did here? Because that was the last one before the next one. Great, cool. So everyone's a little bit about the trapdoors and stuff like that. I'm going to show you a video of what I was trying to explain. I'm going to close that for now. Great, so I tried to explain this in person, and now.
Go.
Hi, I'm Matt Ramsey. I'm the state technician at the New Wolsey Theatre. I'm currently head traps on our new rock and roll panto, Sword in the Stone. My main responsibilities during the show are the safe operation of the traps to send Morgan Le Fay and Merlin up with a crew of 2, so that they magically appear through the floor. The way that the traps work is that you have a trap lid and you have 2 people on either side of the trap. On the cue from the DSM, I give a cue to my 2 trap operators. When one of them goes up, the 2 operators on either side of the trap have already unbolted the trap. I unbolt the trap lid. On my up, they both lift the trap up and bolt it safely in, and then I say to the DSM that that trap is safe. Trap safe. During all 30 trap cues, smoke is fired for every single one. It's operated by a hand smoke machine that I move between all 4 traps that we have on this show, just to enhance the pyro that goes off.
And smoke, please. And again, please. And again, please. Down.
It can get really smoky down here. There are times when I can't see the other trap operator on the other side because it is so smoky, but how it looks makes it worth it in the end. We also have a new trap for this panto, which is the Excalibur trap, where the sword magically appears. It's operated by 2 people, myself and one of the other trap operators. The trap lid opens and then the stone rises up magically out of the floor. As well as my trap cues, I have 2 puppeteering rolls, one on stage left, one on stage right. I operate flies. And I also have a couple of other stage cues of pushing sliders on and off stage. Due to the fact that we're in an 85 show run, we obviously have downtimes when we aren't doing cues. So if we're not reading books, we play chess in traps. I think me and one of my crew, John, we're probably drawing on who is winning currently. I hit my head a lot.
Great, so that was Matt, who still works here. And did that make it clearer to see what was being explained about the way that the traps work? Yeah? Cool. Has it provoked any other statements or comments or questions that you might have from you? No? Okay, that's totally fine. I want to show you also very briefly, I described a video in which a DSM is doing all of the things that they're doing, all of the decision making that they're doing, whilst also keeping time with the music. I won't show you all of the video, but I'll show you some of it. I think it's the R House backstage one. Yes, it is. Yeah, I remember. Great, so as you see, it's a split screen. This is the DSM sitting in front of the book, and this is someone that they're communicating with, and that is where you can see everything going right for them. Can you see what he's doing with his hands? He's doing that. That is basically that for an entire video. That is what the DSM is doing. They are sending commands to every other member of the production team, whilst also doing their bit and also keeping time with a piece that's an acto muso piece. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? Cool. So you're approaching the end of your backstage tour. I want to open the floor to you asking anything you want to ask about anything you've seen or anything you want to know about the way of professional theatre, anything you want to know about it at all.
Do you have a chance, if you've got an in-house production, how do you guys go about working with all the different design team elements? What kind of meetings happen, and what's the length of time that we're looking at for them to be putting the production on?
That's a very good question. It absolutely depends on the production. So our pantomime, for example, the script for that will have been written by our associate director, and that will have already happened by this point in the year. After the script's been written, the script will be read by a designer who will create a model box. You can see some model boxes there. They are basically what our stage looks like on a scale of 1 to 25. So 1 centimetre on that is 25 centimetres. And that has been put together by a designer. They will mock something together, take pictures, send it off to the director, get their say-so, make up something that looks really good like that, bring it down to the theatre. The director will look at it. They will give any last adjustments that they desperately want to have happen. The model box design will go away and change the very last bits, and then it is essentially handed over to production, and they will, using that as a tool, make everything. Yeah, and off the back of that, then you start rehearsing it. Once you've got the set made, that's when you can start getting the actors and getting the getting everything done. Yeah, that's the answer to that. Anything else you want to know? At all about anything?
Is the DSM the same every show?
That's a good question. No, we hire different DSM pretty well for every show, partly because they work as freelance workers, so they will sometimes go, I really want to work on that show, I've done pantos for 3 years now, I want a chance at working at something else, or vice versa. You can imagine that they want to keep their CV fresh, so we end up using lots of different ones. But we often go back to the same people, because if we know they can do a really good job, then we make sure we use them again. Yeah, cool. Anything else you want to know? Is that a hand? No?
No, just
Yeah, cool. Great, well, thank you so much for your energy and interest backstage, and for your great questions, and if you want to know anything else, then feel free to get in contact with us via email. Cool. I'm going to hand back over to Miss and Miss in a second, and after which I'll take us all back to the front of house, if that's where you would want to go. Great. Okay.
A round of applause. Email us and then we'll get in contact if you guys got anything to say, or are interested in any opportunities as well for yourself.
Wow, amazing.
One little set. Get out of the way!
Now that
There's the set.
is a 1x25 set.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's called Roast by Toast.
It is.
That's just called Comedy Central.
The bag's bouncing all around the place.
I know, mate. Thank you.
Are you talking about Ollie?
Thanks, dear.
Ollie and Ellie.
Are they?
I know.
Oh.
That's what I want to do.
Why?
Then you obviously need to go back to the lesson.
It's embarrassing because it's a video.
Oh, okay. Just edit that.
Where's my gang going?
Bye, Kaylee. Let's go.
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads, country roads, take me home. To the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
I haven't got
Putting makeup on.
I don't know what just happened.
You're doing the water.
water. Lovely cold water. Quality content.
This weekend.
Oh,
Was that
it
it?
was longer than that.
No, it's just the opening theme,
That's what she
guys.
said.
Come on.
Can we have the chance?
Don't try to fight the feeling, 'cause the thought alone is killing me right now.
Oi, oi, oi.
Very deep, 6 feet under sea, but no one seems to hear a thing. There's a spark in you, you start every night.
The light and shine. 'Cause baby you're a firewood. You're a firewood.
Come on, show
Oh, I know.
You're a firewood.
So hi guys, we had a really good day today at the Wolsey Theatre. This is Ellie. We're just drama students, you know how it is. Okay, and now I'm going for food because I haven't eaten. Bye. Vlogging out.